Good evening to you all. So we'll be starting off our fourth presentation of the day, and our presenter today is architect Kosala Weerasekara. He graduated with a degree in architecture in the year 2010 from University of Moratuwa, and he became an associate member in the year 2012 at the Sri Lanka Institute of Architects. He is also a chartered member of the Royal Institute of British Architects. So he has apprenticed with renowned architect Ranjit Alhakon, and also he has worked with renowned architect Madhura Premathilaka for 5 consecutive years before starting his own practice. His practice mostly focuses on multidisciplinary architectural. It's a multidisciplinary architectural practice and mainly focuses on applying design creatively, technologically feasible, economical and environmentally sustainable creations. And he is also a visiting tutor at the Faculty of Architecture of the University of Moratuwa and also the City School of Architecture, and also a council member of the SLIA. In 2018, he was awarded with the SLIA Merit Design Award for the category of interior design. And this year in 2019, one of his designs are already nominated for the SLIA Design Awards. So to do his presentation, I would like to invite architect Kosala Weerasekara on stage. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. As a young architect who is establishing my career, every project counts. But some projects may not ended up with the way we envisioning for. But what matters for us is the process we go through to finalize a project. So this presentation, I would say a little bit on projects we did, and mainly the process we go through to finish or complete a project. So it's basically why we do it and how we do it. So going ahead, I will explain this with 3 of my projects, starting with a department store, which we did it in year 2015, a floor area of 15,000 square foot. Going into the site was located in Tulhiriya on the edge of Ambepus Kurunagala Road. So this was the site. When we got the project, it was like that. It's a department store, a clothing store. It has a Buddhist offering store, general items and fashion accessories. So it was named Vortex because of, I think the name Vortex came through, there was a huge bow tree, as you can see here in front of the building. So the project, the department store's name was Vortex. So I'm going to explain here how we start a project, how we start a concept to go ahead with. We, as architects, we don't do projects just for the function. So it has a depth. For example, this project, so this is how we started the project. So what we wanted was to give a face upliftment and interior upliftment for the project. So this was our concept. We wanted to make a landmark at Tulhiriya. Even though it was a landmark, the bow tree was a landmark already, but what we thought was, now this has a Buddhist kind of stores and a lot of clothing related to Buddhist, like the flags and all. So if you can see a bow tree, you always remember of the pagoda behind that, the Dagaba behind that. So what we started the project from there, the Bogaha was there, like the bow tree was there. So what we wanted was to make a pagoda, a Dagaba. So that was the idea, where you have a white cube as a backdrop for the bow tree. So that's how we started the project. And as you can see here, the blue areas are the new additions, and the other area is the existing building. So that is kind of a 3D image we started at the beginning. So what we did was we covered the whole building with set of cubes, which as we wanted to make a white cube kind of a thing. So you can see here like there are two cubes, and even with the new addition, the two cubes are there. So this is the final outlook, the white cube behind the bow tree. So that was how we, from a concept to the reality, how we completed that project. So these are some of the images, the bow tree and the white cube. A landmark by the road, you can see it, you can see the nice bow tree, and behind the white building act as a backdrop. So this is how the before and after look. Some more images. And okay, going into the interiors, so even as I said, now we had a concept of the exterior, but even with the interior we need to get the same kind of a concept. So as architects, what we do is we usually come up with a mood board. So this is kind of a mood board we did for this particular project. So as you can see here, and the project is kind of a renovation, a restoration. So it's related to Buddhism. So we inspired by, as you can see here, the few images, you can see here a pagoda under construction like Jetavanarame. So we inspired by that quality, and yeah, so this was the total mood we wanted to create when it finishes, and this is the layout. So these were some of the renderings we did, because we needed to give a Sri Lankan look plus a little bit of Buddhism and also the modernity. So these were some of the 3D images we did. And this is one of the final outcome. It's a blend of color, history, Buddhism and modernism connected together, and we have experiment. So these are some of the images. As you can see here, we always try to experiment on materials, try to go on low cost, work out low cost methods. So here you can see even the handrail is made out of GI pipes and connected with GI clips kind of. So even all the piping, the electrical layout, electrical piping are out of S-Lone pipes exposed. And you can see the detailing of the ceiling and the lighting is also some simple materials, but doesn't it, and the shelving, even you can see here the shelving where the Buddha statues are. So those are kind of new experiments we did in this particular project. Okay, and this is interesting. So now I have told you about the process, but thing is, the left side image is what we envisioned for. We envisioned for a nice walls. Oh, yeah, the brick walls are of course there, but with because it's a clothing store with nice handbags and shoes and all. But that's how the project ended up, because the client, the client changed his mind and he had come up with another thing. But ultimately, thing is, the client is happy at the end of the day, even though we are not that. But thing is, like you can see here, we have planned for something else but ended up with something else. But thing is, as you can see here, nice brick walls, spotlights, but with plastic things. It's how things are. So what I wanted to tell is, it's for architects, it's not always so see the thing we I'm not going to tell that every project might not ended up the way we want. So that's, but in a way, so he might change this later, but this is how it's for right now. Even though we have done all the interior, the functioning part is different. So these are the clothing area. So you can see the detailing and all. It's quite, we were envisioning for. Some areas are not, some areas are there. So that's how it is when you. But the thing is, we are really happy because we have started a concept and we have done a lot of effort to make it happen, and it had happened. Unfortunately, the final bit is not there, but the client is happy. That's what they need. Okay, going into the next project. Again, I will explain you about the process, the product. You can think of the product and you can ask me questions. So this is a residence of 4,300 square foot. It was completed last year. So the project floor area, ground floor is around 2,400 and first floor is around 950. So these are the project merits. The client is Mr. Karuna Naika, and engineer, furniture designer is Mr. Aman Sena Naika, and the project, you can see that. So this is the project location. This is located in Battaramulla near Parliament Grounds. So the project brief was this 2 car parks and 3 car parks for vintage vehicles, because the client is a collector of vintage vehicles. So a lot of space for cars. The land is only 18 perch, and yeah. So this is the brief we got. So now when we start a project, what we do is we analyze a client. We because the clients will come to us and say, okay, I need 3 bedrooms, I need 4 bedrooms and a living dining pantry, but we doesn't start the project there. We start the project analyzing him. So this particular client lives a very simple life, but he lives by the religion, and his wife is a well-known spouse is from a well-known family of musicians, and the son and the father is a collector of antiques and vintage vehicles. So and as architects, not only me, I think all the architects, what we did is we analyzed the client. Even whatever he tells, what we do is we analyze him, and we give them what actually they wanted, not what they needed. So by analyzing this, we come up with the concept. So this is the concept we come up with this particular house. I call it the middle path, because he is so much into, he has a religious kind of a background, and same as what we needed to create was, as the site is a very long, narrow site, we wanted to create a pathway. So a pathway which connects all the spaces together, and you can see on the right corner sketch, the pathway which connects to courtyards, the garages, and again courtyards, and it ended up with a focus point, and beyond that you get another area which we call climax. I'll explain you later. So that was the whole idea, to give a pathway. The path, so this pathway has a kind of a feeling of a middle path. That's what our idea was. So these are the some of drawings. Now as you can see here, the front part, like 1/3 of the house is just for the garages, like just to park vehicles, as he is a car collector. So and you can see the starting from this yellow lines, the pathway goes towards a focal point which has a Buddha statue, and beyond that you have another area, a courtyard we have created. I'll go through the images, then you can see. So this is how it looks like for the entrance, with a colorful door which you start the path. Now this is how the path starts. it's a gravel pathway going through the main axis, connects the gardens, garages, and veranda. So it's a one axis going towards the back of the house. So in this house, I had a challenge because the client wanted kind of a traditional house. In the same time, he has these traditional vintage cars, and I was in a real trouble because a traditional house in a 18 perch, you need a particular land area to build up a traditional house. So if you do the same kind of roofs for the garages, even it'll congest everything. So we came up with the idea of two two contrasting architectural languages, to use two contrasting architectural languages, which is the garage part, the vehicle parking part. We did it very modern way with steel to make it so lightweight, and at the same time the house part is so traditional kind of. I would say not traditional, contemporary, but it's two languages where you can see it here. The car park is really a lightweight structure, which is really contrasting to the main house, and it doesn't compete each other. That's what we wanted to do. So this is the pathway I was talking about. You can see the entrance, and this is on the midway. You connect gardens, connect bedrooms, stairways to this path. This is some of the images of the living area. I don't go explaining in why the images. You can see the idea. So the living area with courtyards on both sides. So it has a lot of open spaces, and also each and every space connects to a garden. This is one of the bedrooms. This is a master bedroom. You can see behind is, even because it's a long narrow stretch, even the walls, I have reduced the visibility of walls, so we have create kind of, you can see on the bed, the head of the bed, it's a kind of a vertical garden, and you have day beds and all. This is entertainment area, like a small living area on the upper floor, and this is the back side of the house, which at night it's all about lights playing, shadows, and creating vivid effects. You can see that, and this is the climax which we were envisioning. So it's a kind of a courtyard, converting the mind to a peaceful state. So this veranda connects courtyard to the house, interior together, creating a semi outdoor space. So this is the veranda, and the behind wall, what you see is actually it's a false wall, false door, which is the boundary wall. You created is as a veranda, but it's actually the doors, you can't open the doors, but it creates the feeling of a veranda and a courtyard. Yeah, you get the calmness, relaxation in this particular space, where we believe it's the heart of the house. You can see that's a boundary wall, and every project we do lot of detailing and experiments. As you can see here, rather going into a traditional, you have seen this traditional carving panel, we call it mallal. So even that we have put it not in the traditional way, in a contemporary way. We have tried out the new ways we can use it. So as you can see on the right corner of picture, so it's a kind of a vice versa thing. The door frame is not there, but we have hung with steel rods, and this is a kind of a corner window where a glass hits to a column. So these are the kind of new experiments we did in this particular project. So it's not the beautiful pictures, it's the thinking behind. That's what I wanted to give, the message we wanted to give you. So the next project is a small hotel. It's again a renovation, a floor area of around 15,000 square foot, completed last year. This is situated in Mayanganaya. We call it, the hotel name is Mapakada village. It's on the edge of a nice lake called Mapakada. It's the project duration was around 1 year, and yeah. So going ahead, this was the existing building. When we get the project, this is how it was look like. So we actually we involved in doing the entry lobby, main lobby, reception, office, restaurant, kitchen, and additional 4 bedrooms. It had 10 bedrooms, and we are doing another 4 bedrooms. So again, now with this, when the client gives a brief, what happens is, then as I told you earlier, so this is our start. That's how we start the project. So we came up with as the now the sketch on the right side. My pointer is not working. So as you can see here, the building was covering the nice lake behind. No one knew that there was a lake, and unless you go from the side to the back. So what we wanted to create a pathway again to show that there's a nice lake in behind, and the challenge was the pathway was too long because there was the kitchen and there were some spaces in the middle of the building. So what we wanted was to if it's a straight pathway, it will be boring but you need to make it interesting. So we came up with this concept where as you can see the images here, where when you actually go to a tank, a well, you go through nice shades of canopies, light goes through light comes through these canopies. So we were inspired kind of a thing and created this pathway. So these were some of the 3D images we did to direct the people to the back. And as you can see here, the sketch on the top, so the building was kind of a residential building which doesn't look like a hotel. So we wanted to give a face uplift and uplift as well. So how we did it was and we were kind of on a very tight budget. So we came up with this particular idea that we cover the building. We don't show the existing building, somehow we cover it. So as you can see here, the red lines on either sides of the existing house, we have created kind of a front facade and a back facade. With the viewing angle, you won't see the when you go on the road or you pass the building, you won't see the old house, but you see a new face uplift. Even from the back, you won't see that. And in the section, you can see the pathway we have created to the lake. And yeah, so this is how it ended up. It's a unique attraction by the road, and we have used a lot of colors, again inspired from the bold colors of sun and the colors of Mayangane, the people. So inspired from that. Yeah, this was the existing situation and the right now how it looks. So it has completely changed the whole atmosphere, and it had become a landmark right now. So this is the start of the pathway. You enter from this concrete structure and a bridge. So that's why now what we wanted to do again was not to make this pathway boring. So we have created several kind of spaces. Now here you enter through a bridge and you get the light from top. You have water on either side. You can see this. And then you go to a double height space. It's a different where you have a kind of a lobby, an information counter, and a small souvenir shop. And then you start kind of a tunnel, this tunnel, which I would say we inspired from that tree canopies you find when you go to a tank. So this is the tunnel we created. So as you can see here, the far end you can see the tank. And one more thing, like this, the detailing of this tunnel, we have used. This was the existing a screen which was existed in the project, and we have used the same timber to make it low cost to make this tunnel. And okay, this is the end of the tunnel. You get the reception, and hope you all know, like when you go in a jungle, when you don't know the road, there's a folk law that you need to hang some leaves on the pathway. So this is just kind of an abstraction of that. We have hung some brass leaves at the end of the tunnel. You get the reception, and the backdrop also it's an abstract of a jungle. So and this is how the building looks from the other side, the tank side. So even that we have covered part of the building. In this picture you can see that the pathway and how the tank is located. So it's about not to just to do a functional building, but enjoy the project. That's and everything we do, it has some kind of a depth. It has some kind of a idea behind that. It's not just we do it for beauty. It has a depth always. So yeah. So going ahead, yeah. So that's one of my experienced, which I wanted to share you with, because it's not the final project matters for us. It's the process, and to do this process, this is my team. It's not only me. I have to specially thank my team of who was working with me and who are working and who are working right now, and especially my friend and partner Saman, and everyone, yeah, and my wife. So that's what we did. Thanks.